There is an ancient secret that was known and used in ancient Egypt. Specific geometric shapes that function as mystical antennas, connecting and vibrating with various elements of nature. Even without any prior knowledge of biogeometry, by creating shapes following numerical patterns and particular combinations, you can generate positive energies called BG3. To understand these concepts, it is necessary to open the mind to a new perspective, where we recognize that everything around us, every object, being, or element, is constantly interacting on a vibrational level, shaped by how we interact and modify our environment. Biogeometry is a field of study dedicated to understanding how to balance these energies. It is seen as the language that nature itself uses to manifest through shapes, sounds, colors, movements, and proportions. According to biogeometry, all of this affects the energy around us, and consequently, ourselves. It explores how objects of similar vibrational frequencies can exchange energy and information, as well as how these vibrations interact on all levels and dimensions of existence. One of the most fascinating aspects of biogeometry is its ability to provide us with tools to identify and differentiate these energies around us, allowing us to use and transform them in a practical and beneficial way. Dr. Karim, a pioneer in this field, discovered a particular energy, not recognized previously, that harmonizes all living energy systems. He called this complex energy BioGeometry 3 or BG3, which, despite being composed of three distinct elements, operates as a complete unity. Sometimes he describes this energy as a powerful singular force, a kind of energetic trinity, where the combination of the three elements forms a single powerful effect. Dr. Green's original research managed to isolate the three specific vibrations that balance all living energy systems, the BG3. There is also a hidden part of the geometric resonance system that Dr. Karim discovered, where specific geometric shapes will resonate with different planes of nature. Now we know that the human being contains more than a physical aspect. Along with our physical aspect, as understood by all classical traditions on the planet, we have a vital energy body that the Greeks called ether, the Chinese called chai, the Japanese call kalki, and the Indians call prana. In addition to this vital energy body, we have what is often referred to as the astral or emotional body. We have a body of mental activity, and also higher spiritual bodies. There is a hidden communication code of the kind known and used in ancient Egypt, where specific geometric shapes are like antennas that connect and resonate with different planes of nature. The shape you see in this specific slide is a type of pendulum developed by Dr. Karim, which brings together a variety of these shapes that connect to different planes. The way it connects to what is often referred to as the astral plane, which is actually the source of the human emotional body, is in the form of a hemisphere or a pyramid. Thus, these geometric shapes have multiple aspects, and one of them is that they connect to a very specific aspect of the subtle worlds in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, people believed they were in constant dialogue with living and conscious elements of nature, known as netters. These netters were seen as spiritual forces or deities that permeated the environment, interacting with and influencing everyday life. The Egyptians not only recognized the existence of these forces, but also developed a sophisticated system of communication with them, which can be compared to modern understandings of shamanic practices. They believed that every element of nature, every plant, stone, or animal, had an associated spirit, a netter, and that they could communicate with and be influenced through rituals, symbols, and especially geometric shapes. These geometric shapes were more than simple representations. They were considered powerful symbols carrying specific energies or vibrations. For example, the Ankh shape, often associated with life and immortality, was understood as more than just a symbol. It was believed that the very shape of the Ankh emitted a vibration or energy that could influence or interact with the environment or the people around. It was as if these geometric shapes acted as antennas or conduits between humans and spiritual forces or netters, enabling an exchange of energy and information. A representation of this can be seen in some ancient illustrations, where a netter is shown interacting with the pharaoh. In these encounters, the pharaoh or another individual holds an object with a specific shape, like the ankh, believing that this shape facilitates a direct connection with the netter. This interaction is not merely symbolic. It is a vibrational conversation where energies are exchanged through geometric shapes, which function almost like a channel or language between the human and the divine. In ancient Egypt, the natural world was a living tapestry of energy and consciousness, with which one could interact and communicate through an elaborate system of symbols and forms, encompassing an intricate relationship between the physical, the spiritual, and the vibrational. Egyptian pendulum. Khalil Meja conducted an extensive amount of research, searching for specific types of ancient Egyptian forms scattered in museums across the Middle East and Europe. The form you see here is known as the pendulum in Europe, referred to as the Egyptian pendulum. This specific shape is represented in many European and Middle Eastern museum collections and is often simply labeled as some type of ritual object. However, ritual object is just a description given to something they don't know what it is or how it was used. What it truly is a pendulum that emits a specific type of vibrational emission. The vibrational emission of this pendulum comes from the hemispherical cap at the top, and the vibration it emits is modified by lines that appear as zigzags, similar to a specific hieroglyphic letter, which alters the vibration so that the tip's emission has a penetrating carrier wave of energy. In ancient Egypt, they used a science utilizing these forms and their vibrational qualities to communicate with natural forces and develop a science of being able to differentiate different vibrational qualities and understand their effects on living beings, both in terms of energy and health, as well as consciousness. In 1933, something very important happened. At that time, a researcher named Andrew Delazol, along with his collaborator Leon Chamaret, managed to isolate a specific spectrum of vibrational qualities that became a kind of vibrational spectrum. They built upon the work of earlier pioneers like Louis Turin, a radio engineer in France, but Delazol, whom you see in these photos, was able to complete the spectrum. Just as today we have an electromagnetic spectrum that allows us to create electromagnetic technologies, in 1933, they completed this understanding of the range of vibrational energies that are too subtle to be detected by electromagnetic detection equipment. However, these subtle energies were known to ancient spiritual traditions that applied them practically, and these specific energies deeply affect all biological beings. They divided the spectrum into 12 different parts and completed the spectrum when they identified a penetrating carrier wave of energy that they confusingly called negative green. Without going into detail about why they called it negative green, we will simply say that it is a very strong and penetrating carrier wave that can be emitted by specific geometric shapes. This energy carrier wave was found by French researchers to be capable of penetrating thicknesses of lead that could not be penetrated by X-rays. With the research they conducted, you can see Delazol in front of a set of hemispheres pointing in a specific direction. They could manifest and amplify, sometimes to a dangerous degree, this specific vibration through these types of methods. You will also see an illustration of a hemispherical and pyramidal shape. They found that these shapes actually emit this penetrating carrier wave from their base, and so both the dome and the pyramid have specific applications for energy purposes because they are what Dr. Karim refers to as emitters of polarized geometric energy. In other words, they send out a wave of energy in a specific direction, and this energy wave can be projected for specific purposes. But the main takeaway from this slide is that in 1933, they were able to complete the spectrum of all vibrational energies that affect living beings and are not known to modern science, but were known to the great classical traditions of the world. In fact, as you can see in this specific chart by Kerner Skariatin, the Russian who lived in Egypt and used French methods of vibrational research they called radiesthesia, they were able to isolate, with the 12 energy bands they detected in the spectrum, exactly which types of vibrations came from which types of shapes, and were also present in which types of diseases and microorganisms. This also meant that they could isolate the specific subtle vibration type that could neutralize the energy coming from these disease-causing microorganisms. This is very precise knowledge. They can refer to these things in different vibrational qualities by the names of colors. But it's not just a color. Color is one way these vibrations manifest in what Dr. Karim refers to as quality scales. The complete vibrational spectrum, creating all possible effects on living beings, will appear on the quality scale of color, but also on the scale of sound, the scale of movement and angle, and shape and proportion. These are all qualitative scales that create very specific energy effects. These three vibrational qualities identified by Dr. Karim can be described either through modern terms that have an identifiable basis for them in a concept of vibrational science, or can be explained according to concepts known to classical spiritual traditions, which also had an understanding of these energies. So one of these energies that make up the three vibrational qualities balancing all living energy systems is this quality that the French discovered, this energy-carrying wave they called negative green. Another is what we refer to on a technical basis as the higher harmonic of ultraviolet. It is in resonance with physical plane light and ultraviolet energy, but it is at a higher harmonic level. Classical spiritual traditions may refer to this energy as spiritual light, or may refer to it as the atmosphere of angels. The third component, and considered somewhat the highest of the three components of this balancing force, is the higher harmonic of gold. The higher harmonic of gold is connected to physical gold, which is why so many classical traditions used physical gold in their spiritual mysteries, whether in South America, Egypt, or Asia. You constantly see the use of gold, but not for its physical aspect, but because it resonates with something at a higher level. This higher harmonic energy of gold was identified by Dr. Karim as having a strong effect on the revitalization of the human immune system and the activation of many important functions in the energy field and human consciousness. But it is also something known to classical traditions. It is the same golden energy that you see around the heads and bodies of saints in religious representations worldwide. And this higher harmonic energy of gold was also connected in Egyptian mysteries to the plane of divine wisdom, a very spiritual plane very close to divinity at a very high divine level. We can understand these things in both a spiritual context and a more vibrational scientific context, but they are truly the same unity. Now, this balancing force that Dr. Karim identified manifests itself in particular ways, and to truly understand how we can design structures, build a building, create a shape so that it has specific vibrational qualities, it requires us to shift our perspective on how energies connect to form. Dr. Karim refers to our work as being a sculptor of space. When we shape space in a particular way, we also shape it to create specific vibrational harmonics that will affect anyone who enters that space. Therefore, this balancing force will naturally appear of its own accord around certain geometric shapes in the form of rotational movement or a circle, appearing at the very center of the circle. In the fundamental training of biogeometry, after teaching people to test these different vibrational qualities, we give them the shape of a drawn circle and say, I want you to use these tools and show me where you find the BG3 energy. And they find it coming from the very center of the circle. This BG3 energy is at the center of all structures, and there are specific methods we can use to amplify and distribute its energy. This brings us to the classic initiation diagram you see on this slide of a point at the center of a circle. If you study with the Rosicrucians and Masons, they will say that the point at the center of the circle is the symbol of divinity. If you study astrology, they will say it's the symbol of the sun. If you study alchemy, they will say it's the symbol of gold. It's all of these and more. This is a circuit diagram showing how to connect to all these things, and the higher harmonic of gold and all of BG3 are found emanating from the center of circular or rotational forms. If you have straight line shapes, like the cross you see on the slide, then this balancing force will naturally appear at the perfect balance point, moving towards these forms, because this balancing energy appears at the point of balance and actually works with all living energy systems to balance these living energy systems. But to understand how this works, again, it requires us to shift our frame of reference to where the living vibrational world around us is in constant dynamic interaction with us, based on how we shape the world around us, and also related to what we do with our own energy field, with our thoughts, emotions, etc. Dr. Karim did a tremendous job looking at how specific types of vibrational waves and wavelengths create vibrational effects and affect living beings. One aspect of this is in the way we can actually change the vibrational qualities within electromagnetic waves. You can indeed alter the biological effect of electromagnetic waves to be biologically useful for humans and non-harmful based on how you shape the wave. The wave will have a specific shape based on the amplitude or height of the wave and the wavelength, as seen on the right side of this diagram. In a simpler manifestation, this is also connected to the types of vibrational qualities you get within any structure, based on things like the height of the room and the length and width of the room. These will create specific wavelengths that are standing waves within that location, which, depending on the specific size and structure, will create vibrational harmonics that are supportive or harmful to living beings within that structure. If you go to the Giza Plateau, you will discover that the three main pyramids of Giza are not pyramids with flat faces. The three main pyramids have a half-degree indentation running down the center of all four faces of the pyramids. This is known to Egyptologists, but they do not understand its purpose. The purpose is that it drastically changes the vibrational quality of energy within the pyramid. In ancient Egypt, they understood finding the sacred power point to build the pyramid in the first place, and then how to modify the pyramid's shape to change its energy for the desired purpose. So the modifications in the pyramid shape are quite intentional and create a profound vibrational shift within the location. Dr. Karim has completed a research system in vibrational biogeometry where you can use specific numerical qualities together and something he calls a modular system. And even if you know nothing about biogeometry, if you simply design shapes according to these specific numbers and combinations, they will automatically give you beneficial energy qualities of BG3.